Go. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for jumping on tonight's team call. As you guys know, we have been doing the 21-day body, soul, mind, spirit detox. And it's really exciting for me because each week we've been addressing each one of what the body is, what the soul is, what the spirit is, and what the mind is. And this week we're going to be talking all about the mind. And this is really exciting because this is probably the number one thing that catches people up and kind of drags them into a spiral for failure, or they find they fall off the wagon, or they have some kind of problems. And so I'm really, really excited to be talking about this one thing that really gets in the way of a lot of people and their problems that they have. But without going into that right away, we kick this call off the same way every week. So we're going to share something really good that happened last week, and I'm going to ask Deborah Bedford to go first, and then we'll just go through the lineup after that. Do you want to share something positive that happened last week?
Well, I got together with some friends for worship and for kind of like church on Sunday at a home group, and that was awesome. It's good to have fellowship during these COVID isolation times. So our main church isn't operating yet in person. So it was nice to have fellowship, and God showed up and showed us some stuff. So that was cool.
That's really cool. Oh, it's a great share. Yeah, we had our home group on this Sunday as well, and it was really cool to see new people coming and really getting touched. So that's awesome. Thanks for that, Mom. That's a great share. Who wants to go next? Melanie Herman. I'll unmute you. Oh, there we go. I think I hit the unmute and you hit the unmute at the same time. There we go. Okay, go for it.
I see, and yesterday I was hanging out with a friend I haven't seen for a while, and she's been really down, and I just sensed the Lord beside her, and told her that, and that He's also inside, and she felt at peace. Her stomach troubles she was having issues with, that went away as well, and she felt a lot better and at peace when she, by the time she left.
Awesome. Way to go, Mel. You have such a big heart for loving other people, and it's just so beautiful to see you glowing. Like I can see that on your countenance, that you've been spending so much time with the Lord, and it's just a beautiful thing to see that. So great share, girl, and you're going to help so many people with this program. I'm just so excited. So way to go. All right, Hannah, do you want to go next?
Sure. Something positive from last week. I think it would probably be just being able to have more time to relax and just hang out with the people that I love. And yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. So what changed? Can we ask what changed?
Well, I ended up actually feeling like God told me that I was supposed to quit at my last job, and I was praying about it quite a bit actually. And I just really felt like I was supposed to, and so I just went and made that call. So yeah.
And it's feeling good. So that's great. That's awesome. What a good share. Thanks, Hud. All right. Well, I'm excited because you guys, Hannah just joined our team today. I mean, we know she's been taking products for the last bit, but she just was able to order her pack because we've been waiting for, just some logistic things to come into place for her. And it was able to happen today. And it was so exciting to see her and Sarah, our pastor, who's not on the call right now, but she'll be watching this recording, to get her business going, and just to see. It was really cool. Like, I think one of my shares is kind of sharing someone else's good thing, I guess. And it was really cool because, when you're trying to start a new business, or you're trying to start something new, or, a lot of the time your mind can jump in and go, oh my gosh, what did I do? I just got started in this thing. Maybe it's a bad choice. I'm going to fail. I'm never going to be able to make this work. I'm never going to be able to sign people up. I'm never going to be able to be a leader and to make a residual income or whatever. Or then you start comparing yourself. You can compare, like, oh, well, Trina's making $6,000 a month right now with Isogenics. I'm never going to get there. Like, she can do it, but I'm never going to be able to do it. Or what happened with me was I was constantly comparing myself before to my mentor, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to be that fit. I'm never going to be able to be that excited, you know, or I'm never going to be able to talk to people like she does, right? But I never allowed that to be what I allowed into my mind. The one thing that I always claimed was that all things are possible with God. And he gives us everything that we need to have success. But if we grab that thought that says, I'm never going to be able to, no, you're not even allowed to speak. Sorry, bye. And you just flick that thing off. What you do is you replace that toxic thought, which what we've been learning about for the past 2 weeks now. You grab that thought saying, I'm never going to be able to succeed in this. And you go, nope, what's the opposite? I will succeed in this business. I will help people. I will be successful. Why? Because I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. That's the positive. And that's biblical. And God's word does not come back void. So if you're watching this and you are not a believer, please understand that, you know, a lot of the belief that we have is because we believe that we are created by God. But you might just have these toxic thoughts. So what you can do is take that toxic thought, and with whatever belief system you do follow, I want you to write the opposite of that. Write it down, and I want you to remind yourself about that every single day. So this actually happened to a friend of mine this morning who just got started in the business. She was super excited, already talking to new people, and this toxic thought came in. Welcome, Terry. Oh, so good to have you on. This is so good. This is Bob's sister, you guys. She just jumped on. So welcome to the call, Terry. And so when she had this toxic thought come into her mind that, oh my gosh, what did I just do? I'm never going to succeed at this business. I'm going to fail. I'm going to be embarrassed. It's going to be horrible. Just like panic. And then all of a sudden she realized this thought only came in today, but for the past month, she hadn't been feeling that. So she knew that that was not from God. It was not a positive thought. It was a negative thought. So she grabbed hold of that thing and was like, you get out of here in the name of Jesus. And she claimed what was right was that we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. And so she gave me a call, and I just said, you are going to rock this. And the only reason why that thought came into against you is because whoever the enemy is scared about what you're going to do with this business. So you got to always understand that when you have a negative thought come in that is not serving you, it's because that thing is scared of what you would do if you actually grabbed hold of the truth and put it into action. Whoa, watch out. This lady is going to be a reckoning to deal with, right? She's going to help so many people. She's going to do so many positive things. So remember that the negative thought exposes the value that you have. Why else would it be trying to stop you? Think about that for a sec. Okay, so thank you guys so much for sharing your positive. My positive was that that person that came into the business today, she was able to grab hold of that and change that thought, and I was able to see her shine because of it. So that was my positive, is seeing that this toxic detox thing that we're dealing with right now, this 21-day system, is actually working in a positive way to be able to give somebody this incredibly abundant life, because her whole focus is not on how much pack she can sell. It's not on how much product she can sell. It's not on how much money she can make for herself. It's, I want to help people. And in the process of that, I'm going to succeed because my whole focus is how to love people really well first, how to meet people with a solution that they really need in themselves. So without further ado, we are going to jump in. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. We're going to go over a few little things that happened last week, just a few announcements. I'm just going to shrink some stuff down. Don't mind my busy back office here. So who was able, just maybe in the chat box, or maybe some of you guys might be on your cell phone, so it'd be easier to just raise your hand. How many people, raise of hands, were able to go on the Super Saturday call that was absolutely incredible last week? Raise of hands who was able to listen to either a little bit of that or get on for some information. Not a lot of people? Okay, so here's the deal. I was actually out traveling on the colonies, and we were able to bring in 2 big colonies last week, Bob and I. And it was really cool. I was able to talk to Terry over the phone and just to share the news with her about all that. And this was during the Super Saturday event. So Bob and I were actually listening to this incredible event that's absolutely free, you guys. That was on the phone. We were able to just sit in the comfort of our truck as we're driving down the road to these farm communities and watch this. So one of the trainers that came on was one of the top trainers in all of Isogenics. Like, she is absolutely incredible. She's a personal training coach. She trained the tragically hip. She trained NFL players. She trained top athletes, and using these products and these systems to be able to help. So one of the things that she did was she put together how to take the products to give you the absolute best results. So if you're wondering where this slide is, it's actually in the Missions for Life chat, but I put it in there on Saturday to share with you guys just in case you missed anything. Now, always remember that if you miss a call, like the one of the calls that is on Isogenics Live, those calls are recorded. But if you're able to make it on them, you can actually ask questions to the leaders that are on that call, like you're right in the room with them. So normally this would have been a massive event where you would have had to spend money, hotels, gas. Like Terry, she came down for the last Super Saturday event. She drove all the way from Fox Creek down to Calgary to do this event. And now they're happening online, free in the comfort of your home. So don't take advantage of that and not show up for these calls, because you're going to be able to maximize on getting so much information out of this. However, I do understand that not everyone is able to get on these calls. And so I do understand that. But, oh, welcome to the call, Becky. I just noticed you were on. Hey, girl. It's so good to see you. So maximize on being able to jump onto these calls when they're happening, because when that happens, you guys can type in the chat and ask lots of questions, just like you were at a live event, being able to see the person in person, right? So this was one of the things that they went over, was waking up, taking your natural accelerator. Your first meal was your isogenic shake, and you're going to take your vitamins with that. Now, on the call that she talks about, she actually goes into the science of why you need to take it, how you need to take it for the best event benefits, so that you can actually get incredible results. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time into this. I want you to spend your own time going back and watching that recording, because I've already watched it myself, and the other people that took the time to jump on that one, they already got this information. So we're going to jump into our training in a moment. But in the team chat, in the Missions for Life chat, you will find both of these slides, save them to your phone, and use them as a reference to be able to get the absolute top quality out of our products, okay? The second thing is on the Isogenics Live. So if you guys go to isogenicslive.com, you will see the Super Saturday video, right? The recording right there. Now, it's not available yet because they're putting it into a way that you can rewatch it. But when it does, it will have a replay or watch now link. So if you want to scroll down, this is a big key for you guys who are business builders and wanting to learn how to maximize your business, and you missed these trainings before. Scroll down on the isogenicslive.com, okay? So let me see why I can't scroll on this for some reason. Just a sec here. I'm gonna just move that over there. Okay, here we go. So you're gonna scroll down, and as you scroll down, you're gonna see, oh my gosh, there is a Start Masterclass that is free. Oh my goodness, look at this, Module 1, Mastering Social Media with Aaron Sherman, one of the top trainers. Oh my goodness, another module, Product Overview with Dr. Josh Plant. You guys, these are the guys who made the products, are jumping on and doing these recordings so you can be able to share Isogenics better. How about utilizing new leadership action formulas with Julie Yervik? She's incredible, you guys. Like, this lady is amazing. Her backstory is absolutely incredible, and I'm sure she'll share it with you on that module. Here's another one, Creating a Positive Mindset with Dr. Okay, so David T.S. Wood is like listening to one of the top personal developing coaches in the world, and he uses and does Isogenics as a business on top of his massive business of doing personal development. And you guys, these are free. They created this for you so that you wouldn't have an excuse to say, I can't do Isogenics. This is where you have to go. And the reason I'm showing you this before we jump into Dr. Carolyn Leaf's formula for learning about the brain and how the brain works and how the mind works today is she's going to teach you a way of how to learn better and more effectively. Okay, so just before we jump into that formula, I found this incredible image today that was absolutely amazing, and it's called the value of the great multivitamin. So as you guys are talking about the products, somebody might be saying, hey, like I'm taking Centrum, I'm not doing so well in my health. Or you can just pull it up like, hey, I started taking these new vitamins. What do you take? And they might say, oh, I take Centrum. And you can actually say like, ooh, do you know what's in Centrum? Like it's actually made of cement, like road cement. And you might be thinking you're taking calcium, but you're not. It's actually harming your body. So you guys can do your own research about that. But this is something that's a really, really great image. So I'm going to post it for you in Health for Life right after this. But it was amazing. Like I'm a visual person, and to see that, look at all the red wine, look at all the nutrients, and it comes, all of our stuff is from raw nutrients. Okay. Most of the synthetic vitamins out there are made in a lab, and they're not even real. All of our products come from the actual plant. So would you like vitamin C that's made from cement, or would you rather have it from the orange? I would rather have it from the orange. Okay. So this is a really great image that if you don't know how to explain it, you can easily share this with people in your network, and it's a great tool. So I'm going to put that in the Health for Life. Now that is our team. It's our team page. Okay, so we have our team chat, which is Missions for Life, but we have our Health for Life page. So if you were in that, post some recipes that you like, post your shake pictures, post when you're at the gym, Becky and Mom when you're walking around the lake, and Terry when you're taking your cleanse day, you know, take a shot or a picture of yourself and smile and post it in there, because it's going to encourage your team. This is a place where you're going to put your team members as soon as they get started, so that they feel they're part of the accountability. Okay, so don't be afraid to post in there. It's not just for me to post stuff in there. It's for all of you guys to have a community. And one thing I will ask you is that when new people are posted on our team, now you might not have been used to this, because this is the way that it was for our old team, like when I was in Australia. When you post a new person joining the team, I really want everyone to actually like comment in the below saying like, welcome to the team. Like think of it, if you were at a birthday party and you knew nobody in the room, and then you walked in, would you want somebody to just give you a thumbs up from across the room or go like this, that you walked in? Or would you actually want them to walk over and say, hey, cool, welcome to the team, like welcome to the birthday party, right? Instead of them just going and then not talking to you for the rest of the night. Do you know what I'm saying? So as a team, can we just agree that we show up for each other, that we encourage each other like we want to be encouraged? And when somebody gets new and you put them in the Health for Life, that you guys just pump their tires, because we want people to feel like this is a safe space for people to be valued. Okay, so that brings me into our training for tonight. Oh, one more thing. Today I posted a really cool new recipe using our Amped Hydrate. So Amped Hydrate is all our had sugars in it before, and now it's completely new and improved, and it's got vitamins and nutrients and minerals in it and electrolytes, and they have 2 new flavors, coconut and blue raspberry. They kept the 2 other ones that were really good, the orange and the lemon lime, but these ones are amazing. So I actually have it in my shaker container right here. It gets really hot in our apartment, and I know that if I'm not thinking clearly, it's because my brain's getting too hot. So I put lots of ice. I put sometimes my lemon essential oils in this, and I shake it up and drink it. But if you've got kids, or you really enjoy having slushies, and you know how much sugar is in those slushies, and really the sugar is actually not sugar, it's high fructose corn syrup. So we know now that having high fructose corn syrup is actually, one ingestion of that will cause leaky gut syndrome. So I know that this is a whole other study and I won't get into it, but we've been finding new information out there about toxicity in our food. And when you have one ingestion of glyphosate, which is pretty much like Roundup, and that is in corn, 1 parts per billion causes leaky gut syndrome, and there's 13 parts per billion in corn. So you can imagine that every time you have genetically modified corn, you guys are causing yourself to have leaky gut syndrome, which goes completely against what we're trying to do with the program, which is healing your digestive tract. So instead of pumping your kids full of slushies from 7-Eleven that not only cost money, they're really terrible for them, and they're not getting any nutrient value except sickness in their digestive system, causing spikes in their hormones and also throwing their brain pathways off. You can blend up a huge blender of this with the blue raspberry, pour it in with lots of ice and water, and make a slushie that is way less expensive, plus way healthier for your kids. And that way you know that they're not getting any sugars, but they're getting the nutrients. So how cool is that, you guys? You can make your own slushies from home, and this time they're actually really good for you. So let's jump into the training.
Can I just jump into something?
Yeah.
So Trina, because I have kids in sports and whatever, you always read the labels on your vitamin water and your Gatorade, and then on the hydrate. And what was really cool and really weird was that Peter was going through the ingredients on the hydrate, and he looked at what is classified as the medical ingredients, and there's fruit in the medical ingredients. And then when you look at what the actual ingredients are, it's all actual, like, you can actually read what they are. It's not a chemical, it's not added sugar, it's real stuff.
Absolutely.
That's the part that really gets me as a mom, and as and working on being an athlete, and then having kids that are athletes. It's something that I would definitely spend the extra money on, having an extra container around to stuff it in my kids, because it's real fruit.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I'm not too sure, Becky, were you able to jump on the new Super Saturday training?
No.
Okay, so this is really cool. Now, you guys, don't worry if you missed it. I actually missed it myself, because we actually went out and signed up 2 new colonies for our team. It's incredible. Like, it's just wild what's happening. But if you guys missed the training, the Super Saturday training, you will hear that, guess what? Isogenics 2.0 is actually shifting all of our products and all of the labels into the same thing, Becky. So we are having new shakes launching next month. I'm not supposed to be telling you guys this, but I will tell you, we have new shakes launching next month with all the raw and real ingredients that you can read from now on. This is going to be shifting all of our products in the next year, will be shifted into all of those raw ingredients. So from now on, instead of having people come up to you and say, well, what's hydrogenized sunflower oil, blah, 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 it's going to say kale and sweet potatoes for your sugars, and it's going to be beautiful. And so all those people out there, like, one of the questions that came up this week was, somebody said, hey, Isogenics has way too much sugar for me. Just recognize, you guys, there's actually some really, really cool information out. And even if we go over to here, I was actually going to show you guys this, the summer recipes that are available. Literally Google Isogenics summer recipes. Look at this. They're all available for you. So if you have people on your team, new people on your team, and they're like, oh, I don't really know what to make, and I'm kind of bored with the strawberry flavor shake or vanilla, I'm just getting bored with it. Well, guess what? You can go on here. You can get Isogenics coffee, which is wrapped in coconut oil, and it brings the acidities level down. And then you can make that and brew it. Keep a cold brew in your fridge and add it in with the vanilla, and there you go. No more ice caps from Tim Hortons that are full of sugar. They're actually natural, and you're not getting all of the processed stuff. Yeah, I know you want to say something. Go ahead.
So, because it's mocha, like the ice cap, whatever.
Yeah.
So when I'm heading out the door, I do 6 ounces of coffee. So just black coffee. Add that to my ice, vanilla, like the French vanilla, and then a scoop of the chocolate protein after my workout. And it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And all I've done is add a little bit of coffee to it. So there's no added sugar. There's no added anything else. The other thing that I add to the French vanilla is cinnamon. And then it ends up being just like your McDonald's drive-through shake.
Absolutely. That's so great, Becky. I love these add-ons, you guys. And remember, like, just because I'm on a team call and I'm talking about this stuff, if you've got something to add, unmute yourself and jump on. This is a communal team meeting, okay? This is for all of us. So, you know, if we've got things to add, that's going to make it better. And Becky, you could easily jump onto the Health for Life, put a picture of yourself. Like, I love your pictures that you've got of your shake, and you're like driving with your kids in the back, and say, my new tip for instead of subbing out the Tim Hortons thing. That's what I did today about the slushie. So if you guys go over to the Health for Life, you'll see that new recipe, but you can also, you can do that yourself. So if you guys got really cool new tips for how to take your shake and how to use that to the best of like your knowledge. For another one, I was going to tell you guys, I've got a couple new quick hacks before we jump into this training. My number 2 hack, besides the blue raspberry and the Tim Hortons ice cap, is if you are cleansing and you are finding it very hot, because in Medicine Hat, Alberta, we are like in the desert down here. And in the summertime, it gets up to like 35 plus, and sometimes it just gets too hot. And you don't want to eat anything. You're just dripping and you're so hot. You can make popsicles for your kids as well out of the hydrate, where you mix them a little bit stronger. Don't use so much water, but make them a little bit more concentrated. That has electrolytes in it, vitamin C. It's got magnesium and potassium for balancing the minerals in your body as you're sweating a lot. A lot of kids will go out, they'll get sunstroke. This is a great way to keep them that. Now, adult popsicles. You're going to make adult popsicles for yourself out of your cleanse liquid. You do not need to add any water. Pour your cleanse liquid into a popsicle containers, throw them in the fridge, and now you've got beautiful cleanse for life. Pour your 4 ounces into the amount, so you know that you can have 4 of those popsicles a day. You can also make a cleanse for life slushy. You can also use, I always call it bubbly, but it's called bubbly. You mix the bubbly. I've used this 1,000 times in our Health for Life, so just literally scroll down and you'll see all my recipes. But mix the 2 scoops of the peach powder, mix it in with a little bit of water to dilute it, so you mix kind of like a syrup, and then just add your bubbly, and you've got a peach mango bubbly pop, and it's your cleanse day drink, one of your cleanse day drinks. So you might be getting bored of just having the juice. Make a slushie. You know how many slushies I ate in Australia? It was so hot. I made 4 slushies a day, and I ate them with a spoon, so that even though sometimes people just want to eat something with a spoon, you can do that. You can also make snow cones. You guys, there's endless opportunities for you guys. Another one that's really helpful too. Yeah, no, that was the last one. Sorry, the popsicle one. So there's lots of options, but I just wanted to share that with you. Now we're going to jump into, for the last half hour, Carolyn Leaf's training. Now I found this today. I thought it was absolutely incredible, and I'm so excited for you guys to listen to her training. It's about a half an hour. So I get it if you have to jump off, if you got to rush, but I wanted to give you guys a really good backstory. Now, as you know, Cookies and Cream Shake launched this week, and many of you were really upset that you missed it because it sold out at 7 o'clock in the morning, 10,000 units in an hour. So Isagenix added another 10,000 units, and those sold out in pretty much another 2 hours later. So if you missed out, we are going to be running a competition for adding a couple people to your team next week. I'm not going to tell you the details now. You'll have to come on next week's call to get them. But if you want a container of cookies and cream ice cream because you missed out, then I will be running a competition for that, where I will give you a canister of cookies and cream for doing an activity. So this might be adding 2 new people with 100 BV to your team. It may be rank advancing. So whatever that looks like, I'll work that out for your favor. So it will be the person that hits that is going to get a shake. Okay. So now let's jump into the training. Just make sure that you guys have your sound turned up all the way. And we are going to learn today about how to understand your brain, how to grab a good thought, and about how your brain actually learns so you can rewire it. So this is really exciting. So buckle up and let's get into it.
This repertoire of jokes he has, and he keeps us amused at home as well. And we've got 4 children, and they also have a great sense of humor. And I tend to be the trout in the family because they always catch me. But anyway, so it's great to laugh. And the more you have a sense of humor, the more you increase your intelligence. We're way too serious. We need to have more fun. When you have more fun, you actually step into your perfectly you. And that's what we're going to be talking a little bit about this morning, how we make choices and the science behind choices. And for those of you that don't know anything about who I am, I'm a cognitive neuroscientist. I'm not a pastor, but I preach literally 44 Sundays of every year. And we spend 3-4 days a week traveling around the world teaching this message of brain science in the Bible. And science should be in the church because, as I always say, God made everything. So science is a description of the everything. And science is simply a tangible way of getting to know your Savior more. So the first session yesterday, we learned a little bit about thoughts are real and thoughts occupy mental real estate. And as you're listening to me now, you are at 400 billion actions plus per second, converting my words, what you're hearing and what you're seeing, into physical structures inside of your brain. So when God tells us to bring all thoughts into captivity to Christ Jesus, he designed you able to do that. So you are able to stand back, observe your own thinking, focus on 3 to 4 things, up to 7 things at once, and actually do something about that. So the second session last night, we got into this a little deeper, and now this morning we're going to start talking about choice and this concept of the perfectly you. So on the stage, you'll see, I always set it up like this for those of you that are new here today, hearing me for the first time. The green trees represent, the big one represents God, and the little one represents you and I made in God's image, because Genesis 1:26 says that we are made in his image. So God's brilliant, God's amazing, which means that you brilliant and you amazing. He didn't make any mistakes. He made perfectly you. So he made this amazing person, and we were having a good laugh in the car last night because Rob said to us, he's type A, and we said, no, you're not type A. You're a unique standalone, and you answered, he's type me. And I thought that that was perfect. Every single one of you is type you, because there is no one like you. God designed you unique. Unique means standalone, set apart. The law of the brain is diversity, which means that even though we have the same brain structures and the same neurophysiology, how we actually use that to process and build these thoughts in our brain is completely different for every single one of us. So every single one of you is a standalone designer babe with a unique perspective on life, and there's something that you can do that no one else on this planet can do. So if you're not doing it, you're actually a piece of the puzzle that's missing, and all of us are suffering because we all have something from God. Ecclesiastes 3:11 talks about the fact that he has made us all beautiful in his time, and that he has planted eternity in us and a divine sense of purpose. So if God is this huge big God, he has planted eternity in us. We have this big God inside of us, a piece of this big God inside of us that is unique and standalone. So never think that you like someone else. Don't even that you are like someone else. You're completely different to everyone else. And this is such great news because, and I know you kind of know this, but I don't know if you know the next statement I'm about to say. If you try to be someone else, you would make a lousy someone else. You make a perfect you, and when you are trying to be someone else, you are actually causing brain damage. That is a scientific fact. The more you desire to be like that person that you see as the ideal.
You just muted it, hon.
No sound, Trina.
Force, and as we know,
Sorry.
the scriptures say,
Sorry, you guys. I went, wow. And then I thought, oh, shoot, I better mute myself. You guys couldn't hear. Let me just rewind it a sec.
actually causing brain damage. That is a scientific fact. The more you desire to be like that person that you see as the ideal person, the more you are actually working against the natural design of your brain, and the more neurodegeneration you are creating. Okay, so when we do that, when we try and be like someone else, we start stepping into envy and jealousy. So we step out of our perfectly you, which is this side of the stage, which is the love zone. We step into this side of the stage, which is the fear zone. And the fear zone is the opposite spiritual force. And as we know, the scriptures say, perfect love casts out fear. Okay, so this toxic tree over here represents toxic thinking, stronghold of the enemy, sin, whatever you want to call it. It's real. When you make a wrong choice, this is what you land up building in your brain. When you make the right choice, this is what you land up building in your brain. This is your normal. This is your natural. And in fact, a Nobel Prize-winning scientist back in the early 2000s was studying fear circuits in the brain. He did a lot of stuff, and he won a Nobel Prize for his work on memory. But he was studying fear circuits, and one of his points that he made that really stood out in my mind was he made the following statement. He said that we as humans are wired for love, but we learn to fear. Now that's very significant because he started out thinking, hey, there are fear circuits in the brain. And a lot of the early textbooks in neuroscience speak about and spoke about the fact that we have fear circuits in our brain as though they're a natural part of our development. And what they have found is that that's not actually the case. We are designed for love circuits. In other words, we are only designed for everything that is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control, all the stuff on this side. There is no circuit, no structure, no anything in the human brain that is designed to handle anything in this zone. So we actually have to learn to get into that zone. So our normal natural is this zone. So the next time that you sin, the next time that you do something wrong, don't say, oh, well, I'm not being perfect, you know. You're not perfect, you know. Don't say that. It's an insult to God. I mentioned this on Friday night. What you say is that, oops, sorry, I stepped out of my perfectly you. I chose wrong and I stepped into my perfectly you. Give yourself some slap therapy and get back into the perfectly you. This is your normal. This is your abnormal. Okay, it's a different perspective, a different shift. And you need to meditate on what I'm saying, because the more you immerse yourself in your perfectly you, the better you're going to function. So we'll learn more about that as we're talking in these last two sessions. Right now, I want to quickly pick up on a concept that we ended off with and spoke about last night, a quick summary, because it's relevant to this session as well. So we were talking about my theory. So don't pass out. I always say to people, don't pass out when you see what's about to come on the screen, because it's not difficult to understand if you listen to how I'm telling it, how I'm explaining it to you. Just look at the colors. Okay, so this is a scientific theory that I developed many years ago. It's used around the world to explain and understand mind in action. So your mind is how you think. It's how you feel, and it's how you choose. Your mind is your thinking, your feeling, and your choosing. It is your soul realm. You have a spirit and you have a body. Three parts. It is through your mind that you develop your spirit, through your mind that you develop your body. So, and your brain is part of your body. So your mind has this exclusive role of having one foot in the door of the spirit of man and one foot in the door of the physical of man. So through your love, power, and your sound mind, you are either developing your perfectly you, or you are developing your imperfectly you through the choices that you make. So you choose to follow Christ, or you don't choose to follow Christ. You choose to listen to the Holy Spirit, or you choose not to listen to the Holy Spirit. You choose to listen to the enemy, or you choose to listen to God. You choose to listen to God or Google and gossip. You get my point. Okay, so the point here is that the green and the purple represent your mind. Your mind is broken up into the non-conscious, which is the biggest part of you. It's huge. It has a spiritual quantum nature. It is not bound by past, present, past, and future. There's no time dimension in your non-conscious mind. There's no time dimension in the spiritual world. God is over and above time. Time is exclusive to the physical. Okay, to what we see, what we call the physical world, what we can see, feel, and touch, and intuitively understand, and it's considered the realm of classical physics. So, what we can, the physical side of us is this more time-oriented thing. The non-physical part of us, which is this quantum part of us, which is the spiritual part of us, which the green part represents the non-conscious part of the mind, with all these operating principles, represents something much, much bigger. And if we're going to do life like God calls us to do life, we are going to have to develop a more quantum and eternal perspective of who we are in Christ. If you think this is who you are, it's not who you are. This is only a part of who you are. You're in a physical body with a physical brain, which controls your physical body in a physical world for a purpose and for a time. And basically, your body is how we're allowed to live how we physically cope in this world. And there's all kinds of other reasons. But essentially, that is not the total of who you are. Your mind, your brain, physical brain and body are subservient to your mind, which is your soul, and your soul is subservient to the spirit of man. And the three work together in an integrated way. And if they aren't integrated, we're going to have a descent into chaos on this side. So we have to be plugged into the Holy Spirit. So as I mentioned often and very many times when I'm teaching this, is your spirit is unregenerated when you're not born again. So when you're born again, you plug into the Holy Spirit, your spirit is regenerated. Now you have the real thing happening, Holy Spirit to soul to body. But you can be born again, plugged in, have this access to the Holy Spirit. God is a gentleman. God is incredibly generous. He's done everything. Jesus died on the cross, rose again on the third day. We have the Bible. We have all the promises. We have everything. God has everything in abundance over and above what we can expect in this zone for us. We have to choose to get into this zone. God knocks on the door, you open, you step in. So this is what we're supposed to do, but the world tells us you're a victim, you've got these bad genes, you've got this damage in your brain, you've got this terrible lifestyle, it's not your fault, and they teach us how to be a victim. So you're going to have to decide if you're going to use God as your standard or the world as your standard. Now, God created everything about the world, but man has a great way of listening to the enemy and distorting the truth about God's world. So science needs to be interpreted correctly, and we can only interpret it correctly through the lens of Scripture. And that's what I do as a scientist. I still am. I've been a scientist for 30 years, specifically in the field of neuroscience, trying to understand these truths and bring them down into the church so that we can equip the body of Christ with the right mindset so that we can go out there and the world will say, I'll have what he's having. I'll have what she's having. But if you are useless living in this zone, and when I say useless, if you are not operating in the me that you're supposed to be, and you're operating in this zone, no one even wants to know you. Just FYI, okay? When you whiny, moany, me, myself, and I, blaming everyone else, you're the victim, everyone else is out there is wrong, and people hate that. It generates an attitude of negativity. People are watching how you are handling your life. Are you rejoicing despite the circumstance? And also, James 1:13 through 15 from the NIV explains it so beautifully. Basically, let me give you the scientific version. If you choose to stay in this zone, you choose to grow this zone, basically you're giving birth these things, you basically build these toxic thoughts. The more they grow, whatever you think about the most will grow, and basically you will die from that. That's what science shows. The more of this you have in your brain, the more you grow this, the more you put yourself into the vulnerability zone for illness. Research shows that 75 to 98% of current mental, physical, emotional illnesses today come from our thought life. The dementias, the cancers, the cardiovascular, the whole lot of them are tracking back through genetic mutations that come from incorrect signals. Okay, so only 2 to 25% of disease today, and they reckon it's closer to 2 than 25%, comes from things like exposure to chemicals, food, etc., etc. Now, food is a very important part because your temple has to function. So if you don't eat correctly, your temple won't function properly. So we have to look after our body and after the world. But what we have to do is get our mind right in order to eat right. Get your mind right in order to develop your spiritual life. You get my point? Okay, so coming back to this is your non-conscious mind that drives your conscious mind, and the blue part over there is basically the contact between the external world. You are listening to me speak, you are seeing things, so I am stimulating your 5 senses. So the blue part represents your 5 senses receiving the signals from the world. They land up in the purple part, which is your conscious mind, which is much, much slower than your non-conscious mind and only operates when you're awake. And as you are listening to me now, the information's coming in, it activates 4 to 7 signals from the non-conscious mind, and those signals are thoughts or memories that you have implanted over time. Okay, so we implant as we are learning, as we are going through life, right from conception, we are basically implanting all the signals or all the experiences of life into our non-conscious mind as memories. So our thoughts are our memories, and as you do life, those pop up from the non-conscious to the conscious mind, and you view the current situation through the lens of the past. So let's have a look at a simple version of this. We're going to look at a fountain, a body of water. So the body of water represents the non-conscious mind, where all your trillions and trillions of memories that you have been building since conception are stored. And as you are thinking, and as the events and circumstances of life pass into your conscious mind and you become aware of it, your conscious mind only operates when you're awake. Okay, your non-conscious mind operates 24 hours a day. So the body of water where all your stuff is stored, your memories, etc., that is operating 24 hours a day. What you see popping up are things from the non-conscious mind. This is just an analogy, popping from the non-conscious to the conscious mind and influencing how you do life currently. So guys, we view the current circumstances, our decision-making is based upon what we have implanted into our non-conscious mind. Now, just to remind you, I'm going to read you James 1:13 through 15. I'm going to read you that scripture. before I do, I just want to say to you, remember, God only made good stuff. God does not tempt us. Don't blame God for anything. Stop blaming God. Okay, we sin voluntarily. God does not make you sin, nor does the devil. He just tempts you. Okay, he tempts you, you tempt yourself. God does not do any of that. So James 1:13 through 15 says, when tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me. For God cannot be tempted by evil. Evil is a distortion, as we know, nor does he tempt anyone. But each person, and when we say tempted, I know God's not out there tempting you, but he does put bad stuff in your life to tempt you, to teach you stuff. It's not, that's a religious kind of Christianese kind of thing that makes God seem horrible. He is not. God is amazing. God loves you. He wants the best for you. He's done everything for you. So stop confusing God and the enemy. And I know that you may think I'm crazy without what I'm saying, but just stand back and look at your life. Look at how you approach things. Look at your mindsets and how you deal with certain things and how you think God is teaching you stuff through bad stuff. He doesn't. God is teaching you. God is there to say he'll turn the circumstances around should you step into the zone. But he doesn't tempt you with those things. When we go through life, which is, we know life, we're living in a fallen world, the way we are responding to life, the way we react and choose to react to life, that is what God will turn around. So if you choose to step into his arms, that is when he'll turn those things around. Okay, so he doesn't tempt everyone, but each person is tempted by when they are dragged away by their own evil desire. We get dragged away by our own evil desire. That's on this side. We see something, we hear something, we listen to the lie of the enemy. We get dragged away by the envy, the bitterness, the unforgiveness, the jealousy, the want this, the want that, etc., etc. We get dragged away. The more you immerse yourself in here, the more you are immersing yourself in this evil stuff. And then we get enticed. And then after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. There we go. Physical sin. Every thought that you think becomes a physical reality inside of your brain. And as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So when you give birth, it's not a nothing. It becomes a physical substance inside of your brain. No thought is harmless. If you are tempted by evil desires, the scriptures say, you are building a consequence into your brain. Then after desire has conceived and started growing, it then gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. Okay, that's scripture. Science is the same thing. Those things kill you. God says those things kill you. I lay before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Choose life so that you and your descendants may live. So you impact yourself, spirit, soul, and body, the current generation and the next generations. Okay, so based on that, let's look at a slide of inside the brain, an actual slide of neurons firing inside the brain, and show you that this whole thing of renewing your mind, getting your mind right, getting your thoughts into captivity, detoxing your thought life, let me show you what actually happens in your brain. So now look closely at this. We've got, just so that you know what you're looking at, it's firing inside the brain. The white clusters are groups of networks of your thoughts. So you're looking at your thoughts. The firing is because you're alive. You wouldn't see this if you're dead. And if you look, we're going to replay this a few times. The first time, I just want you to orientate yourself to it. We're going to play it again. Now look where the red writing is down here. And look up at this one over there, that little bubble over there. Watch how that little bubble is growing, and watch how it pops. Did you all see that? Okay, I'm going to replay it again. Look for that little thing while I explain it again. So what this is showing is that as you choose to acknowledge a sin, as the Holy Spirit prompts you and leads you unto all truth and he points out something in your life, when it moves from the non-conscious to the conscious mind and you become aware of it, it becomes malleable. You can change it. Over a period of 21 days, as you work on this, these branches literally pop off. So what you are seeing over there is the physical evidence in the brain of what happens when you renew your mind. You see, when you renew your mind, you physically change the structure of your brain. You physically eliminate these things from your brain. So now, when you confess your sin, he is righteous and just to forgive us and cleanse us immediately. But what we have to do is work on this remnant, which I started talking about last night. You have to get rid of this thing. So when it's in the non-conscious, you can't do anything with it because it's not changeable in the non-conscious. You have to be consciously aware of this thing. As soon as you're conscious, it becomes weak, and research shows that the bonds on the connections change when they are in the conscious mind. And as you stand in God's arms, so there you, the little one, green, connected to God, connected to the vine. Without being connected to the vine, you just can't do life. okay? And you're looking at this thing, and together you and the Holy Spirit are generating these thoughts, these quantum signals, changes the chemical structure of your brain, weakens the whole energy connections in this the brain, and these branches pop off, pop off, pop off, pop off. Now, how long does it take? 7 minutes a day for 21 days. You can all find 7 minutes a day. Do you agree? Say, yes, I can find 7 minutes a day. Okay, you've just committed in church. So now you're going to do it, okay? Renewing of your mind is a 7 minute a day thing. Research shows that if you commit for 7 minutes a day, after a period of 21 days, you would have eliminated a whole network.
Wow.
At the same time as eliminating the bad thing, you are building a replacement healthy thought. Now, I'm going to go into this in more depth over the next session as well. So now, to lay up this whole thing, that's the foundation. Now we're going to talk about choice. In the fourth session, I'm going to go into a bit more detail about this 21 days thing. But let's have a look at an image of you in superposition. Okay, so there's Kelly Slater. Okay, and he had his GoPro with him, and this is an actual slide. But now, before we talk about what's in the red circle and the GoPro, etc., let's talk about Kelly Slater for a moment. He's surfing on a surfboard. Surfing is a science like anything else. If he tips in a certain way, moves his body in a certain way, he's going to tip either this way and he's going to ride that wave, he's going to go down the clear side, or he's going to land up on the other side and he's going to fall into the wave or whatever, or get whatever's inside the wave or whatever. He's going to get dumped by the wave, whichever. So he can move either way. So in that moment in time, he will go into superposition. Anyone who knows anything about surfing, you know that you're on that surfboard, you're waiting for that wave, you're in superposition. In quantum physics, superposition is a quantum physics term. In quantum physics, just before something happens, the subatomic particles will be in a 1 and a 0 at the same time, which means that both options, the good and the bad, both options exist for a moment in time until they are collapsed in a choice. So this is phenomenal, because what this says is that God shows us that as you are doing life, as you open your eyes in the morning and life is starting to hit you in the face, you are making decisions all day long. You are designed to be addicted to God, which means you are designed to be constantly meditating and communicating with God, which means that you don't walk around like praying all the time. You walk around talking to God all the time. So that's what praying is. It's not just this sort of in your prayer closet thing. It is a lifestyle of dialogue. So what you do in superposition is, because I've just already told you that at any one moment in time, you can deal with more than one thing. So I already showed you from my theory and from that fountain that as you are hearing something, it's coming in through your 5 senses, into your brain, passing through the 100 structures of your brain, your mind in action starts, and that activates stuff to move from the non-conscious to the conscious, those things that were popping in the fountain that you saw earlier on. So at any one moment in time, you consciously, in your cognitive melting pot, have information coming in and information popping up. You are in superposition. Superposition is phenomenal because God has designed you with this ability in superposition to make a choice based on good information. You see, making a decision should always have information behind it. So that's how we are designed. We never make a decision, we never make a choice or a decision without first being informed. We inform by the incoming, we inform by what's inside your head already. Now we are also designed to handle 4 to 7 things at once in superposition. So you are in superposition multiple times a day, around about 30 to 60,000, even maybe 100,000 times in any one day. You go into superposition. And what superposition allows you to do is to look at the incoming, be aware of what's coming up from the non-conscious mind, and also add another factor, and that is talk to the Holy Spirit. Okay, so in superposition, you are able, the research has shown, your brain is designed to listen, to be aware of, and to communicate with God. Okay, when you do that, your brain fires up with gamma activity, which shows that you are getting super intelligent. Your brain fires, and when you are talking to the Spirit of God, when you are communicating with God, your brain fires up differently to whether you're just meditating on a pen or a flower or something like Buddhist monks would do, where they meditate on a visual, where they intentionally direct their attention onto a visual. Their brain will fire up, because it's intentional thought. But when you intentionally communicate with the Spirit of God and you meditate on scriptures, your brain goes into the highest possible intellectual state that it can. Now, that was research done by people that don't believe in God. So you see, God always says, hey, you want to play God? Well, let me just show you who is God. So the research always favors him all the time. So when you intentionally, in superposition, choose to listen to the Spirit of God, amazing things happen. So when we do that, we build healthy thoughts. So going down this side of the wave, you are going to build a healthy thought. This is what a healthy thought looks like. You'll see the contrast in a moment. So going down is obviously going down the clear side of the wave in superposition. So what we do, if we can just go back to that's what it looks like, healthy in the brain. Let's go back to the wave. So let's go back to, right, okay. In superposition, we are the observer outside the system. We, as the observer outside the system, we collapse a probability into an actuality. Okay, so in the 1 and 0 position, in the superposition, in the discussion with incoming thoughts coming up and the Holy Spirit, that's all the superposition. As you're about to choose, okay, you are the observer outside the system. You are observing the incoming, you're observing your internal thoughts, and you are discussing or not discussing with the Holy Spirit. You're listening or not listening. You're in a unique superposition to collapse a probability which has not yet happened in your life into an actuality which happens in your life. As you choose, DNA expresses, you build a thought, and then you build a thought, either good or bad, and then you act from that thought. So the thought is physically built and becomes the root of your words and your actions. But you, the observer outside the system, that is the definition of quantum physics. The observer outside the system collapses a probability into an actuality. This is the love, power, and sound mind that we have in superposition. And the Holy Spirit is saying, listen to me. I will help you. I will guide you. God has given us everything. So we have to step into our perfectly you by choice in superposition and activate. When we do that, our brain responds differently. Okay, it responds differently. It activates differently. So as you choose, you step into this side. Let's talk about the positive first. Here are all the positive probabilities. Here are all now. A probability is a term in science and mathematics that has not yet happened. Okay, so there's a slight difference in God's probabilities because he has actually done everything for us. So everything that you ever need has already been done for you. It's all in this zone. Everything that you need for the rest of your life is already done. God is not bound by the fact that you still have tomorrow coming in your life. It's already done. What you need for tomorrow is here. He says, I know the plans I have for you to give you a hope and a future. You need to get a revelation of what I'm saying. Don't just hear what I'm saying. Plant this deep, because if you understand God has already done it, what do you have to do? What the probability is already done. You have to collapse your choice. So you have to get into the zone. When we talk about collapsing your probability into your perfectly you, it is you aligning yourself with what God has for you to solve your life and to do life. So you have to step into the wisdom of God. This is a choice that you make. Okay, it's all here. Over this side are all the lies of the enemy. Now, the enemy has no power. He's a defeated foe. Please go read your Bible. When Jesus rose from the dead, he said, all power has been given unto me. The guy is the whatever, the enemy, the devil. He's defeated. He has no power. The Bible does not say the devil has a love, power, and sound mind. The Bible says that you and I, we have a love, power, and sound mind. He can't build networks in your brain. Only you can. Okay? Whoa. He can't do that. All he can do is lie. He's an illusionist. And you have to take that, listen to it in superposition. And as you're listening with your mind, if you choose to believe the lie of the enemy, you collapse the probability. Let's see now what was in Kelly Slater's GoPro.
Whoa.
That's on this side. There was actually a shark in that particular picture. So thank goodness he didn't tip that way. But you see, we can do that. The observer outside the system of life. You can say, I don't believe that my God is, you get a diagnosis from the doctor, you get that phone call, you have that financial crisis, you hear that whatever, you have that fight, whatever. You in superposition, you collapse the probability. You and I, we choose if we want to land in the jaws of the enemy, and he will rip you apart as much as you allow him to rip you apart, and you'll add another probability, and you take that and you turn that into genetic expression. You activate genetic expression, you build proteins, and you build the stuff. What I'm trying to emphasize is that when you take something and you collapse it, you are building stuff in your brain, and you will then do it. You will then speak it. We collapse the probability. We collapse the probability into an actuality. When we do that, look what it looks like inside the brain. That's what it looks like. Every time you build one of these distorted things, you build neurodegeneration inside your brain.
Wow.
You create brain damage. And because your brain controls your body, and because every thought that you are thinking is impacting every cell of your body, when you have that stuff going on in your brain, that's not a black hole. That represents what a bunch of those wiggly, distorted looking neurons will create a whole mess in your brain. Glucometabolism goes wrong. Your electrical quantum firing goes wrong. Everything goes wrong. There's inflammation in your brain, and that will manifest in distorted words, distorted actions. You will not be who you are. That is mental ill health. So every time we collapse a probability into an actuality, we are breaking down our thought life. We are breaking down our brain. So thank goodness for the blood of Jesus, because when we acknowledge, when the Holy Spirit prompts us and we bring it up, when we acknowledge our sin and confess it, we can change it. And that is why we have to renew our mind. That is why we have to choose to listen to what the Spirit of God is telling us. That is why we have to choose to step into our perfectly you. God bless you. Thank you.
How good was that? Like, what the heck? Oh, hold on.
Thank you.
I'm gonna mute. Next one's coming up.
Thank you.
Okay. Like, wow. How many people, like, you can unmute yourself if you want, or even just raise your hand. Sorry, my sun is like pouring in my window right now, so it's very, very bright in here. But how many people loved that teaching?
It's so good. Yeah.
Right?
It's so good.
Like, this is incredible, you guys, because what this means for us, is that now we can apply whatever we are struggling with in our life. We can grab that captive thought and we can take it into the captivity, right? Grab that captive thought and then put it before what is truth. And she's saying, literally, if that thought is destructive, it is not from God. And if it's not from God, it's from the enemy. So what can we do about that? We grab that thought out of our mind. We look at it. We judge it. Where did this come from? And is it benefiting me or not? Because if it's not, then you need to get rid of it. And she's just talking about it right now. So what this means for us, like, I want to bring this into, it's not just about isogenics, you guys. Isogenics is just a vehicle to get you to wherever you want to go. So if you need to get better health and you're having trouble taking your shakes, doing your cleanse, trust me, I struggle myself sometimes. It's been a year and a half, and sometimes I get busy and I choose the wrong thing. Is that an excuse? 100% it is. We can always set ourselves up for success by organization. But it's when the thought comes in that I'm never going to hit the goal that I want to achieve, bam, I'm going to grab that thought and I go, actually, I can. Because not only are these products backed by science, so is what Carolyn Leaf is saying. So I can actually take that thought and go, nope, I will hit the goal that I'm wanting to achieve. And it takes an application of what's already here. So here's the cool thing, you guys, is if you are struggling, which we talked about earlier, my friend who was struggling this morning thinking, I'm never going to accomplish this. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this business. I don't know. I'm going to be terrible at it. I'm never going to make any money. I'm never going to succeed. You grab that thought out of the air and you look at it. Is that what God says about you? Absolutely not. He says all things are possible with Christ who gives you strength. Now, what he's talking about is he gives you everything you need already, like she's already saying, to achieve whatever you want, right? How cool is that? Now, this isn't about like exploding your life or like you having a yacht and a mansion and like whatever. If that's your thing, I'm not going to say it's a bad thing. It's just when your motivation in life is to get the mansion and you don't care on who you step on to get there, that's when it's not aligning properly. But if your motivation is to get a mansion because you think that that mansion can house people that don't have a house, or maybe you can provide a better home for your family that has never had a safe place, that's the motivation. Do you see the difference? The motivation of the heart is so key. But when we are able to snatch those things out of the air and say, hey, let's take a look at this. If this does not align with what God is saying, we need to grab the truth, and then we listen to that and we throw the other stuff out. Right? So my opposite thought of me never succeeding into the body that I want to get to, right? The thought that I'm never going to be able to feel good in my health because I've got some blown discs in my back and the doctor's saying this. You know what I'm thinking is I'm going to use the rest of this 21-day challenge to apply the truth, which is I'm already healed. And the truth needs to come into my brain. It needs to explode those. I'm just going to mute email because I'm getting feedback. It's going to explode those bad thoughts. And you're echoing, so just kind of thanks. Sorry, she's trying to come in my room and it's giving me feedback in the speaker. So it's going to explode those thoughts, and we're going to take that thought out of the brain where there's inflammation in my mind right now. Like, I'm literally watching this and I'm going, wow, physically alone, I'm going to be able to change my situation just alone. Now, whatever this means for you guys, what I want you to do constructively right now is, we're going to end the call in just a sec because we've gone 8 minutes over, but I want you to constructively write down those negative thoughts that you're, application to your health, application to your business. Okay, so we're going to look at this isogenics related. Now, if you want to take it a step further and do your personal development, like in your life, in your relationships, in whatever, I want you to do that too if you feel like that's something you want to do. But just to talk about in the parameters of isogenics and what this can do for you, I want you to take the negative thought, I'm never going to be able to really do this as a business. I'm never going to be able to really make a sole income from this. You know, I'm never going to be able to help my team. All of those toxic thoughts, I want you to write down whatever it is. Now, you might not be feeling that. Your thoughts might be all according to the products. Okay, I'm going to take the products and then all of a sudden, I'm going to hit a plateau. Guess what? I also felt like that. And what's the cool thing about the products as well is because they're scientifically backed, you actually don't, you get to that place where you think you're going to hit a plateau and you press through it. So you guys, the thing that I want you to do is write down those thoughts. Then I want you to recognize it. I want you to look at it and judge it for yourself. Use what God has already put inside of you, which you already have. Look at that thought and go, is this the thought that's from God? Is this loving? Is it kind? Is it edification, which means building you up? Is it encouraging you? Is it making you into a better person? Is it helping you develop into a better person? Or is it hindering you? And if it's hindering you, I want you to take that thought and find the complete opposite thought. And from now on, I want you to either write it down on a sticky note, put it in your mirror in the bathroom, like Melanie and I, we have our mirrors, like there's hardly any space to see through it anymore because it's just got affirmations all over it. Whatever you need to do, maybe you need to get your cell phone, grab your cell phone and put a new screensaver on your phone if you look at your phone a lot, some of your affirmations. And I want you to start saying the complete opposite of that. Focus on that thing and check out the other one. Okay, so we need to take the teaching that we learn every week, and now it's application time, because we won't have any movement without the application. Okay, so we can listen to these teachings all day long. We can get a whole head full of all this knowledge, but if we don't apply it, it's useless. Okay, so let's do a small practical thing. This is super easy. It's not going to take you time. Literally 7 minutes. Everybody has 7 minutes. So next week, I want you to grab that 7 minutes of what you did today. Okay, so maybe it's today, maybe it's later this evening when you can find time. Maybe you got to rush off and pick your kids up or whatever. I want you to take that 7 minutes and I want you to bring it to next week's call. So next week is the last call talking all about the spirit. Okay, so you guys might not understand all of that. Last week we talked all about the soul. So if you missed last week's call, it was incredible teaching all about the soul, which is made up of the mind, the will, and the emotions by Dr. Miles Monroe. Incredible teaching. We applied it with Carolyn Leaf's program, and we were able to understand, hey, Melanie, like you're just like, whoa, this is radical. Like information can give you so much, you guys. It can really help you put everything into perspective, and then you can actually grab the power back. So is there anyone else that wanted to say something before we end tonight's call?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that when you're when you're finding your truth, then the next thing that's gonna happen is that opportunities are gonna come, and you're gonna have that choice, just like in that wave picture. You're gonna have that choice which direction you're gonna go.
Yeah.
And yeah, but like when we renew our mind and then we talk about and think about and talk about what we're renewing our mind with, that's when, the opportunities come.
That's awesome, Mel.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that's so great that you're saying that, because like she's saying now, we can choose, we can continue down that path, or we can take the high road, right? So I just think that's phenomenal. That's so good. Is there anyone else that wanted to share anything before we end tonight's call?
I just want to know, what was the name of this session with Carolyn Leaf?
I will put it in the chat for you guys. If you want to share it with other people that's not attached to the recording for the team call, Mom, I'll pop it in the chat for you guys. It's actually a 4-part series. And we use the first of the 4 videos for our first call. So if you missed that call, you guys can go back and watch the recording, or you can go back and watch the first of those 4 parts.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Anyone else? Everyone's good? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was so great, you guys, to see all of you on today's call. I'm so excited for where we're going in the future. I'm so excited for what this is going to mean for all of you within your business, within your results. I'm so excited for what information now that you have, because the beauty about having information and knowing the truth is that now you can share it with other people, and you can create a movement, a global movement. It just takes one person getting the truth and applying that within your own network, just like sharing Isogenics, right? When they see you getting the results, they're going to say, what do you have? And like Carolyn Leaf said, it's all about people seeing you and going, I don't know what you have, but whatever it is, I want that. So it's not just about getting it in the products, you guys, and seeing your skin glowing and seeing your hair looking beautiful and seeing your beautiful results and people going, wow, you're so much more clear. You're so much more happier. You're so much more balanced. You're so much more joyful. I want what you have. But it's also being able to say, listen, I've turned my complete life around. And now I want to share that with you too, because that's love, is sharing something that's been able to impact your life in a positive way, and taking the time to care about others to help them out of that as well. So thank you again for joining us on tonight's team call. I will not be doing the Wellness Wednesday. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Wednesday, we will do the Wellness Wednesday. Now, what I'm going to talk to you guys about next week is we're going to start doing our live events again now that COVID is opening back up. This is going to be really exciting. So if you're living in this area and you want to bring your people, you literally just get them in your car and you're like, guess what? For an hour, we're going for a meeting. And so I've been thinking a lot about that. And I felt like God said, it's time to start that back up again. So this week, we're going to have one more live on the Wellness Wednesday call. Last week, I wasn't able to do it because I was traveling. But this week, we're going to do it. So that's on Wednesday night. That's 7 p.m. So the same time for our girls in Ontario to be able to join us. And then we're going to shift into an actual live event. Now, we will still record these events for you guys to bring people to. So if you're ever struggling and you really need people to get on that call, so you don't know how to explain Isogenics, you don't know how to talk about the products yet, you might be really new, you're welcome to invite them to these events or invite them to the online events. I do it all for you. I will be calling on some of you like Deborah Bedford, Melanie, Becky, to share your stories. We've got some new people on the team, Sarah Daw and Hannah, who have just joined us, which is really exciting. And I would love for you guys to share your story so you get more familiar with sharing it, which is going to build you up for speaking about Isogenics and other areas where I might not be around. Now, remember, when Isogenics is going on, you guys, and you're starting to share and you don't know how to explain things, just get me into a 3-way call. And as you see how I talk, you're going to be able to learn that for yourself. Now, Becky has been able to use this over the past year, and she's a master, you guys. I literally could say to my people that I'm talking to the first time and put her in a 3-way chat with Becky, and I know for certain they're going to get some really good info. So I want to help develop that with all of you. Even my mom, Deborah Bedford, I can say, hey, Mom, I don't have time for this right now. I'm going to flick somebody over to you for you to talk to, and she's going to be able to enroll them for me. So this is what we do as a team. We all help out however we can as a team, as a group. It's all about accountability, and it's all about supporting each other and encouraging each other. So thanks again. I'm going to stop talking. Love you so much. Have a great evening. We'll see you Wednesday. Bye.